So guys, welcome to the podcast. The reason why I'm doing this podcast today is I want to give you guys an insight on how I coach, how my clients get results. So I have two special guys with me, two guys that I've been training a long time. On to the right of me, I've been training over 2 years. Dwayne coming up to a year. So let's get into it, lads. First and foremost, before we talk about how you got your results, why are you living in Dubai? If we start with you, Owen, why did you move to Dubai?
So I think, to be honest, probably money.
Money, yeah.
That was the initial reason to come here. But over time, lifestyle has probably kept me here.
Yeah.
It's just being able to be outside, go to the beach, be in the sun. To be honest, just happier in living in this type of climate.
That's it. What about yourself, Dwayne?
A bit like Owen. The weather, the lifestyle, the change of scenery, a change from the mundane back home. And yeah, it's just a great place to live and work.
Yeah. The big thing for me moving here was obviously living at home is the weather, right? And I always felt like living in Ireland, you feel a bit trapped, especially where I live. So I get that small town mentality where everybody knows everyone's business. I always find living here, you don't really get that as much.
Exactly. Yeah. I think as well here, you're surrounded by a lot of people who are trying to like better themselves. Yeah. So you see a lot like in TK where we train, you're surrounded by professional MMA fighters, you're surrounded by entrepreneurs. So you're kind of, I think you're kind of inspired daily as well.
Fact.
By like people just trying to better themselves.
Yeah, fact.
I think it rubs off on us.
Yeah, fact. And what about work, lads? What do you do for the day life?
Yeah, so I'm a recruitment manager in a bank in CBD.
Big time, Charlie.
So day to day recruiting people to come and join the bank. Yeah.
What about yourself?
I'm a customer marketing manager for a Australian Wagyu company. So I work a lot with like the hotels, restaurants around the Middle East. So not just Dubai, but the whole region.
Do you do that at home? Were you doing something?
No, just in the UAE. I had food service background in Ireland, but mostly here in the UAE. Yeah. So yeah.
Right, very good. So the reason why I want to get deeper into when we were working together as well is, and I start with you on, what was the biggest struggles you had with achieving a body transformation goal? What were things that you felt like were holding you back?
Yeah. I think one was probably confusion as to like what to do.
Yeah.
There's so much information out there. There's so many websites, magazines, people telling you do high reps, low reps, no reps, eat this, don't eat that. So I think what was missing probably for me was like simplifying everything and just actually having clarity around like what to actually do to get a result. Whereas I found for a long time, I was kind of like the blind leading the blind.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well with getting results is there's so much information out there. Is it keto, vegetarian diet, all different carnivore diet is something that I see now. And what about yourself, Dwayne?
I think it's just having the accountability and knowing what I'm doing. I suppose, as Owen said, like shooting in the dark a little bit before I met yourself. Accountability, discipline, and having someone to hold me accountable when, you're not exactly on track. So that was the big thing for me personally.
And tell me this, lads, with work, right? And I used to work in the corporate industry for 8-9 years. And the biggest issues I had as well with the working in the corporate industry is the stress and pressure dealing with management. Have you had any of that in the past, and has that impacted your decisions around food or even a lack of sleep? Like there was times before where I used to struggle. It wasn't all the time, but like you'd look at emails at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and you're like, I have to deal with that. And you're in bed, and that's all you can think about. Have you experienced anything like that?
Yeah, 100%. So I think for me, like even if I think back maybe through my 20s, like it was kind of a case of get through the week, enjoy the weekend, dread work on the Sunday night, and then have all the usual like Sunday night anxiety, probably skip training on a Monday because it was the easy thing to do. Diet was probably bad for like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday because of the weekend. So, which probably didn't help the stress. So I feel it was kind of maybe my 20s anyway, was living in like a vicious circle of kind of, having the work stress and then having lots of bad habits, and they were all just fueling each other. Whereas since I met you, I kind of put like gym and sleep and diet at the top of the priority list. So no matter what happens Monday or Tuesday any week, I'll leave work at 5 and I'll be in the gym. Even if I have to do extra work that evening, just getting that release in the gym, and we chat when we train anyway, it completely changes everything.
Yeah, of course.
And then another thing is the sleep. So no matter what, midweek, I'm probably always in bed by 9:30, no matter what. So just those small little changes, but it's almost like a commitment to like diet, train, sleep has changed everything. And then limiting alcohol, obviously. But so me, I guess my lifestyle in my 20s versus 30s is
completely changed.
Yeah, it's a complete 180.
Class. Dwayne, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think that's a massive factor. I think it's very easy to get burnout, especially in the modern day. Yeah. I think Owen, you made a really good point, like putting your health and your fitness in number one, because at the end of the day, you can make all the money you want, but if you're not healthy mentally and physically, it doesn't really matter. So I'm in agreement 100% like that. It definitely has a massive role in how you look after yourself, you know, especially if you're in a very stressful environment. That can really have a negative impact on your mental health and also your eating habits and your diet habits as well. Because you almost use the weekend to numb those, those things. But I think I'm in 100% agreement. Your health and fitness number one. And definitely this is something that you have helped with. I think it leads to better work overall. Because if you 100%. Feel better in yourself, I actually think you make better work decisions. And you're not as reactive. Do you get me? Because you kind of burn that energy that you have in the morning through gym and exercise. You kind of feel in a really good headspace to tackle the day ahead of you. So yeah, I think it's a massive factor. And like Owen mentioned, like a few years back, I was a shell of a human compared to where I am now, especially in Dubai, because it's so kind of busy and hectic. Yeah. Coming from Ireland, it's like a massive transition. So I think you help build that discipline. Yeah. That nurtures better work. Yeah. So to speak.
So the big thing I want to talk about there next is, and I'll tell you mine first is, and I always say this to people when they jump on calls with me, is I want to lose a little bit of weight, right? For me, there has to be a bigger reason why, right? So for me, when I was always skinny fat going to school, always skinny fat. And I remember looking at pictures, I think it was like 22 or 23, and I was skinny, but I had man boobs. And that was enough for me to say, fuck this. Yeah. I need to change. And I didn't want to feel insecure looking at photos of me ever again. That was a big reason for me to be like, right, that's my why. What was your guys' whys in getting the result that you were looking for?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you go to shape, you're kind of in denial in the beginning. So like when I lived in Spain, I got like fatter and heavier over 3 years. I think I moved to Spain maybe like 72 or 3 kgs. Yeah. 3 years later, left Spain about 89 kgs. But you're kind of in denial until you have it's like you see a photo or someone says something to you, or there's a eureka moment where you're like, I need to change. So I think for me, it was more like thinking, right, of one life. I want to try and maximize my, fitness. I want to try and be in the best shape possible. And I guess then having the belief that I could do it, kind of thinking, right, well, if I do as Jordan says, I'll get the results. So it was kind of believing in the process as well once we met, and kind of saying, right, well, if you say do X, Y, and Z, I'll do X, Y, and Z. And it worked.
Brilliant. What about yourself, buddy?
Yeah, I think we all kind of want the same thing. Like we all want to be the best version of ourselves. Like when you wake up in the morning, you like what you see. And I suppose like Owen mentioned, I think I was coming up to like 92 kg And like diet was really bad, exercise was bad, low in confidence. You know, especially in Dubai, you have your top off more often than you would back home. And getting outside your comfort zone. I think we all kind of get to a stage where it's like it's all or nothing. Like you know, enough of the excuses. Yeah. And I think that's how I felt when I finally met you. Is that right? Like this has to change. I can't keep doing what we're doing here. So like self-esteem maybe, and again being the best version of yourself. And I think working towards that in itself is an energy driver. Do you get me? Because if you wake up in the morning and you don't really have that goal or ambition, I mean, what are you really at? Like, do you get what I mean? Exactly. So, that was kind of what it was for me personally. Yeah. And it's actually the journey I kind of find enjoyable as well, rather than the result always.
Yeah.
100%.
Because looking back over your pic, you know, when you see your weekly pics, like when you make us save our weekly pictures in the app, when you look back over, let's say you get in great shape and then you look over the last 12 months, it's a great feeling looking backwards to where you've kind of come from. It gives you a lot of belief.
Yeah, it does. It gives you, and that's why I always get you to do them photos as well, is when motivation drops, and I might suggest look at the first photos, which I do with other people as well that I coach, and it's a bit like, that's the one that's really going to drive you forward. And like another thing as well, I don't really care what people think. The reason why we all do it as well is it is to attract, if you're single, the opposite sex, right? Like you don't, like when you feel good, you feel strong. It does, doesn't it?
I have a guilty look.
Yeah, but it does, right? Like when you're feeling good and feeling strong, you feel more confident with women.
Yeah, 100%.
So, go ahead.
It's true. I mean, like, I think it's maybe sometimes people might sidestep the question, but it's true. Like, it is true. You feel more, I don't know.
Approachable.
Well, more confident to make the move anyway, or to try at least. But let's say 88 kg version of me, like, no way.
Yeah, of course. So, with you on, right, I've been coaching you, like I said, pretty much 2 years. What was your original goal, if you can remember?
I think, to be honest, was probably to shift the weight.
Yeah.
Like initially, it was to be athletic and shift the weight. Whereas over time, that's probably changed to like getting stronger as well. Constantly trying to lift heavier, but also trying to like get in as good a shape as possible, so that the bar now has risen.
Yeah,
like
of course.
Now I just don't want to shift weight because I know we can do that. I want to try and push it now to get in like even better shape. Like, for example, if we do a photo shoot next year, I want to beat last year's one. So I guess it's a competition, me versus me. It's not like it's a personal competition, I feel, every year.
Yeah, and the beauty about yours is we've done 2 photo shoots, and actually when you do compare the first photo shoot to the second one, it is like night and day.
Yeah.
It is like night and day.
And you learn from each one too, I think. You're kind of like, I could have done that better, or I forgot to do this more. So next year, if we do one, I have a lot of things that I've kind of kept note of.
Yeah,
so.
of course.
But the photo shoot was the game changer for me.
Of course.
In our process, like doing the 2 of them was... That changed everything.
And this is the thing about photo shoots, and I know you've done as well, Dwayne, is it does give you that extra bit of kick up the arse, doesn't it? When you're sitting on your couch or you're counting down the days, there's 40 days left to the photo shoot. Oh God.
Yeah. For me, it changed everything. Like it went from kind of doing a nice like fitness program to like going, this just got real. We're now pushing to get in the best shape of our lives. But it was exciting. Yeah. It was great. I loved having the end date because you're kind of you're like, that's the date. It's not going to change. Jordan wasn't going to change it. So there was no choice. We couldn't really,
but it is nice. Like the food, it's crazy with photo shoots, the foods that you crave. Yeah. It's unbelievable. So when I've done photo shoots before, and again, the reason why I push photo shoots, especially in January, it just gives people that extra accountability the whole way through. On top of me keeping them accountable. But I was craving crazy. I was craving like sausage rolls, Lucasade. You know, sausage rolls you get at home in the deli.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And jam buns. I've had them in years. And Dwayne, what was your goal when we first joined?
Yeah, it's a bit like only like just getting in some form of shape, and like managing alcohol as well was probably a big thing for me. I think they kind of go par and par. I think, yeah, and having some form of motivation, something to work towards. I think for me, as I once said as well, like the photo shoot was a game changer as well, and you know, kudos to you for knowing that is a thing to do.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, and the beauty about your transformation is like we've lost 20 kg, right? But and the hardest part, honestly, the hardest part is the phase that you're doing really, really well in now, where it's you're maintaining what you've lost. So many people have. Okay, you're not going to be as lean as the day of the photo shoot, but so many people are going to have rebounds.
Yeah.
I've got so many people to get a fat loss goal holiday, and then they've added more weight, and then they're just stuck in a vicious cycle. The beauty about you is you're just maintained and you get stronger. And you mentioned something there about alcohol. What would you guys say about managing the weekends? Because let's be real, Monday to Friday, we're in work, 9 to 6, structure, routine. The weekend comes. Now, I understand not every single week we're all good. We all know that. But what did you have to change on your weekends to make sure that you were still making results throughout the week?
Yeah, I think picking and choosing your nights out. So I think it was more just kind of, once you get into that flow of going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, you almost don't want to mess it up. So you almost kind of don't really want to drink all the time. You almost feel like drinking is going to set you back. So for me, it was kind of just picking and choosing, kind of going each month, like, okay, maybe these 2 nights I'm going to like mark on the calendar as like potential. But to be honest, the more and more we trained, the better shape we got in, the less the desire there was to drink. And even, it sounds bad, but like even having once I realized how many calories were in a pint, it almost got me thinking like, you know, I was looking at pints as calories. So it just changes your outlook when you start thinking about what's actually going into your body. Whereas I know for you and me on a night out, we like to do the old vodka, soda waters and limes. So there is something, skinny bitches. So there is something nice about like, just not pumping so many kind of useless calories into your body.
Yeah, you're dead right. And so like I'm going home tomorrow and I'm going to Galway next week. Now I am going to have a feed of Guinness, right? But it's, as you said, there is picking and choosing your battles. What about yourself, Dwayne? What was the...
Yeah. Again, stating the same. I think like choosing the nights out for me before it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday occurrence, you know, and you're talking takeaways over that time frame. But now for me, you're kind of thinking about your nights, like what lies ahead, what's worth it, what's worth the struggle and the pain. And I think subconsciously you're already making decisions that are better for you, like what to drink, like a vodka soda over 10 pints of Guinness. You know, and I you know, I'm all for enjoying myself as well. Like I don't like to limit myself too much, but I think, again, you're making decisions that are just better for you. You know what I mean? And even like the next day, you know, the Deliveroo, a shout out to Fit Food. You can send me the money in the post. But yeah, like just like getting a wrap on there versus a Mackey's, like, you know, I know it sounds ridiculous, like, but you're making better decisions. And I noticed since I got the Whoop as well, that like my sleep is way off when I go out drinking. Like that whole week, it's like my fatigue levels and everything are just way highly skewed. I'm not sure if it's an age factor, but
of course.
like definitely, like you're not there's a guilt there afterwards. Do you get me? But if you can choose your battles, it's less. You don't have that same level of guilt, and you can enjoy with friends.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, like definitely just managing that is critical.
I think the big thing there as well is we're always going to have temptations. Most weekends, we're always going to have temptations. That could be with booze, food, or women. No, but that kind of but the big thing is the more you can do it over the course of that month, the easier it does become to control. It's just getting over them first couple of weeks to a month hurdles of that resistance of battling, and you actually really appreciate it the next morning. It's only the next day you appreciate it. Because how many times have we gone out on a heavy session and you're not really bothered, but you're not doing anything anyway. And then you wake up and you're like, why did I go out?
Yeah.
I'm not sure as well if it's an age related thing, but like your friend group when you were younger, there was a far more pressure to go out with them.
Yeah.
You know, now maybe we're at a certain age, we don't really care as much as what other people think. It's more about yourself, right? Like, I don't know, is that another factor? Like, you know, is it age related? I'm not sure. But if you can make those changes earlier on in your life, I think it can really help.
It's just the fear of missing out, isn't it?
Exactly.
The fear of missing out.
Yeah, exactly.
And it ties into the stress as well, because I feel like, well, in Ireland anyway, a lot of people drink for a release. Whereas when we kind of started training with you, the gym was the release.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people maybe on a Friday night, they'll drink just for the sake of a release. Whereas once we started training hard, we didn't really, my mind was just like, when are we training? You know, on many Fridays. So it was almost like replacing like the voice of alcohol with the gym. So definitely the training definitely changed a relationship with booze for sure.
Lastly, what would you say to somebody that's currently struggling and is going through a vicious cycle of trying to lose weight and dropping off, constantly on and off, but never get anywhere? What would you say? What were the first few steps you would recommend they should take?
I would say, one, like, realize that like they're not alone. Like we've all probably had the same struggles in the beginning. Have a chat with you, you know, send you a message on Instagram. It genuinely could change someone's life. It could change. And people think as well, I know we spoke with this before, but they think, oh yeah, it's just muscle or just weight loss. But it has all the knock-on effects of like confidence. You're better in work. You're happier. You sleep better. You have better relationships with people. So I just think have that initial call. And if someone follows exactly what you say, they'll get a result. It's like a maths equation almost.
Very good. And what about yourself, Dwayne? If someone was, you know, struggling and are just in that vicious cycle of going nowhere?
I think it's a decision you make in yourself as well, right? It hits like a plateau. If you feel like you're going to plateau, it's going to happen eventually. And it's how you act in that moment, what decision you make to like better yourself. And instead of maybe paying for a brunch, pay for a PT like yourself to try and put you on the right track. And if you can't do that, I mean, just again, try and manage best you can. But best decision I made was reaching out to you for that accountability. So, I mean, that's probably it.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, lads, thanks for coming on. I'm going to leave that there. Went smoothly. So yeah, spot on, lads. Thank you.